A portion of this video is sponsored by Winbond.
Some comebacks are long overdue. Matt Stafford, Beyonce, meet the 2024 Chevy Blazer EV. All right, so let's get the big ones out of the way. This is a top trim level SS. It's gonna be offered in a 1LT, a 2LT, and an RS. And in this trim, this car is an absolute screamer. So this is the SS. This has everything. This is the sportier option, all the trims, all the options here as well. And you look at the RS, you look at the 1LT, the 2LT, you'll see the look start to change of the car, but at least you can configure it and get the options to look however you want. So in the SS trim, we're looking at 557 horsepower, 648 foot-pounds of torque, getting this to 60 in under 4 seconds. So looking at this, you can tell this is clearly redesigned from the ground up. So the light bar is a new touch, and we're seeing some manufacturers move to ways to interact with the car and get some visual cues from the car, and that's what Chevy has done here with the light bar. So when you walk away, you can have a visual cue. When you approach the car, visual cue. They even told us when it's charging, you can get indicators to show how fast the charging is happening here. So looking at the front, again, this is the SS version, so it's the sporty top-line performance one. You can tell that there was a lot of thought put in to the aesthetics, even just on the front fascia. I mean, it's an aggressive look, and in a car that, doesn't need any sort of cooling, they did a nice job kind of making it look like an EV, but also sort of having a sort of sporty look that you'd expect from a performance car. I think they really nailed it. The front of this car is absolutely beautiful. And all that kind of continues around, and there's a lot here too. So this is utilizing GM's Ultium battery platform, which obviously been successful from Cadillac and then Chevy and of course the other brands as well. And they're gonna offer this. This is where things get a little strange. They're gonna offer this in pretty much any configuration you could think of when it comes to drivetrains. So you're gonna have an option for all-wheel drive, an option for rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, to sort of pick the right configuration for you, is something I really like. People can get the sporty experience, they can get a performance experience, they want to sort of have an experience that's going to be on the lower cost side, you'll have that as well. And speaking of cost, the range is going to be from the mid-40s to the mid-60s, obviously capped out here with the SS trim. From a range, we're looking at about, on the low end, 240, all the way up to 320 miles, and then in between, depending on what trim you're going to get. Obviously, you're going to want to charge your car. That's important. So charge port is going to be fully powered and looks like you'd expect. So it has 11 kilowatt charger for level 2 and then 190 for DC fast charging, which should give you about 78-ish miles of range in 10 minutes. So coming along the back, you can look at the car. It looks beautiful. I love the two-tone paint they've done here. It's an option evidently across the trim, but standard here on the SS. We've got 21-inch tires here on this configuration, and then coming around the back of the car, this is where you can start to see that Chevy's made performance cars in the past. You can see echoes of Corvette and Camaro here very, very clearly. And then even sort of a little bit of an Easter egg, the Ultium battery logo is kind of here in blue. And obviously, this is squarely going to be competing with the Model Y, competing with the Ford Mach-E, and sort of those other kind of crossover configurations. I think what's going to separate this from some of the competition is the width of the car. Now, so your perspective might be different. I'm somebody with 3 kids, so width matters to me, being able to fit 3 car seats or booster seats inside. This is 78 inches wide. That is a wide car. And for parents, people that want extra space, that matters, and that matters a ton. You also have a ton of room in the back for storage. It's a hatch, it's powered, all that stuff you'd expect. There is no front trunk. That's where a lot of the drivetrains and that kind of stuff is. But they haven't locked it down. You can access it if you want. But a huge amount of front storage, a little bit of storage as well underneath as well, in kind of a sub-trunk area here. And I think where the car stands out, at least to me, is on the inside. So let's take a look inside.
So despite us talking about EVs, pretty much every electronic side in the world, there's something that makes everything work well, work reliable, and work safely. And it's memory. A company like Winbond is not a name you might know. They're an integrated device manufacturer, and they specialize in their own memory technologies that provides all kinds of crazy solutions, from DRAM, flash to secure flash and memory, and this stuff is used in pretty much everything. So the code flash I'm just gonna call it family, consists of NOR, NAND, and TrustME Secure Flash memories. And Winbond, if you didn't know, is the #1 supplier of serial flash products in the industry. From cars to phones, IoT, AR, VR, AI memory, it's got to be secure, reliable, and have low latency to give you the best experience possible. And Winbond's memory does that, and their technology is in everything that you are using. And obviously the big buzzwords I talked about, but the main ones that are going to be driving our future. So automotive, IoT, 5G. So when you think about reliability, think about security, start thinking about the memory that's in all of this. And if you want to learn more about all this, because the applications are absolutely bonkers awesome, we'll put a link to them down below.
So I can talk about width and how it feels, but nothing's gonna translate. I am the most average sized person at like 5'9". JD, who's behind the camera, is 6'5". He is not the average size human. So we put JD in the front, then you can see JD in the back. There's enough room for a 6'5" human to have their seating position here and still not have their knees touch in the back. That is a gigantic compliment to a car in this segment and this size. And speaking of compliments, you sit in this car and you are surrounded by technology. So I think the big one here is a 17.7-inch display that's angled towards the driver. This is not unique or optioned only for the RS or the SS trim. This is standard across all the Blazers, which I think is pretty awesome. They did a nice job sort of giving you physical knobs for things, but also having digital. So there's a physical volume knob. There's a physical knob for all the HVAC stuff, which I love. You can see sort of the rounds vents they've done in Camaro and Corvette stuff. That's awesome. But it's a really nice place to be and spend time. Beyond that, it's comfortable. And especially for someone like JD who needs the room, you have that space here as well. Inside, some of the stuff, it's a show car right now. Things aren't working the way they will at production, but obviously this will open up. You've got a wireless charging cup holders, more storage here. In the SS, we've got a flat bottom, makes it a bit more sporty. One thing that is awesome if you haven't tried it is GM Super Cruise, which you can obviously get on the Chevy Blazer. You can see it here. There'd be a light that would light up. That gives you pretty close to semi-autonomous driving and is amongst the best, if not the best, driver assistance system going. So that will be here as well. And because of Super Cruise and because of all the sensors that you've got here, you've got a bunch of camera angles. So you'll get 360 view, front view, side view, sort of all the camera angles that you'd expect. I can't show you that here, but I'm assuming it's going to be here. Chevy's made cars that has those in the past, so I'd imagine all that is going to work pretty well. I haven't driven this, so I don't know how the drive is going to feel. I imagine how the drive will probably feel, being an EV. But they did a really nice job. Both speakers in here, I believe there are 9 in this one. Full glass roof here as well. The front will actually open up, and then you can get a power shade as well for some of that heat dissipation. It's a really nice, comfortable place to be. Obviously, I want to reserve drive thoughts so I can actually drive it, but this is a really nice, well thought out car that I think is going to hit the sweet spot. That sort of mid-size crossover is a huge market, and then one this wide offers something that the competition doesn't have just yet. I'm very impressed with the build quality in the car. I imagine that'll follow through to production, but they've done a really nice job with this. The car is awesome. It offers pretty substantial range, pretty substantial performance at relatively reasonable prices, and there's cars for everybody across that line. So overall, pretty impressed with 2024 Blazer EV, but we'll see how it is when we actually get behind the wheel and can test one.